Employees of IKEA, what are some of the worst family meltdowns you have seen? Super late to thread, and not an employee, and also this wasn't my own family, but I think it counts. I went to IKEA last year with two friends of mine, a husband and wife, who own a pickup truck, and could haul stuff. I needed exactly two things, a desk and an office chair, and they were just going to look around while I shopped. I walked into the store, picked out a desk and a chair, and wrote the numbers down. In and out of the office section in 90 seconds. Too late. Their attention had already been grabbed, and they spent the next 20 minutes discussing potential couches, chairs, dressers, beds, etc., all of which culminated in my friend saying the single worst thing he could have said in the moment. This will be such a pain to move. We are moving? Why are we moving? You know I've always wanted to move to Colorado. Then why did I just leave the job I loved for the more permanent job here? Holy shit, the floodgates were opened. What followed was no less than a 15-minute screaming argument in the midst of IKEA, which continued through the warehouse, through the checkout line, and into the parking lot. The argument started over him wanting to move and her wanting to stay, but quickly progressed to jobs, school, families, children, and ended when she snatched the keys from his hand, screamed a torrent of obscenities at both of us, and drove off. If you've never had to call someone to come pick you up with a couple of boxes because your friend just got divorced in the middle of an IKEA parking lot and your ride drove off, I can't recommend it. Desk still holds up, though. A guy came in and wanted something that we only had in the air, so it would require a forklift to get the product down, which we don't do with people in the store for fairly obvious safety reasons. I told him we could get it down right after the store closed for him, but that was not an acceptable answer. He proceeded to lose his shit on me demanding I bring out a forklift and take it down now. As this is happening, his wife and two small children walk up. I say, well sir, just imagine that your children are in the aisle when the forklift comes out and an accident occurs. Your children could be crushed by a falling pallet, the arms of the lift, or any other number of possibly fatal incidents. His response, I don't give a shit about that. I just want you to get my fucking table. I didn't have to continue the conversation. His wife took care of it. Went to IKEA shortly after my first wedding to buy a dining room table. It was me, my then husband, and a close friend, who, unbeknownst to naive young me, was my then husband's mistress. I watched them walk around like a couple discussing the options before finally settling on a glass top table that I mentioned many times was impractical, one pan slip away from shattering. While I had my blinders on to all the other signs that they were fucking around, it was this moment which made me realize what was going on. I busted him a few days later, and should have also busted that stupid table. My BF and I overheard, while browsing an IKEA couple having some sort of miscommunication in their relationship. I guess they were deciding on things to buy. The girl says we should get that rug, in which the guy replies to her super fucking loud, there is no way, you don't live with me. I didn't catch the rest of it as we had to walk away, so they wouldn't hear us laughing so hard. I have two. I was working in the kitchen accessories department and this middle-aged guy asked me where the cheap white plates are. So these are the lowest price plates that come in one color and are sold straight off the pallet. But they changed the color from white to light beige a month ago. I explained this, and this guy starts raising his voice at me, telling me he owns a restaurant and that I'd go back there and bring him more white plates. At this point I know I'm not dealing with a rational person here, but I go to the computer and check if there isn't in fact a pallet of the stuff, just so he sees I've tried helping him, even shown him the big fat 0 on the screen. He gets red in the face and starts telling me how I'm personally responsible for the gas he spent driving here on his Audi A8. Ask me if I know how much gas an Audi A8 burns. He's yelling now. The whole floor is looking our way, and I'm doing my best to not laugh, but I realized I'm already smiling, and that pissed him off even more. The convo went something like this: you're gonna pay for the gas I spent driving here. I doubt that, sir. Listen here, kid. I'm gonna drive back home, load up all the fucking white plates into my car and dump them all in front of your fucking store, and you're gonna pay me every last cent for the damages. That's a good idea. I wasn't even trying to be rude, I just really wanted this guy to do this. But then he asked for my manager, yelled at him, basically repeating everything including his Audi A8 gas mileage, everything. He ended up buying the light beige plates. The second one was when I was on my third day working at IKEA, still wearing the I'm new here badge, and this lady asks me where do we keep the plates for slugs escargot plates. It was my third day, but I already knew we don't carry that, and said I don't even think I saw one before in my life. She goes, if I was your boss I'd fire you on the spot, and stomps away. What did I do, lady? Sometimes calling them out is a laugh, watching them squirm as they try to think of another comeback, or realize they don't have another move is fun. That being said, I used to work for a shop selling homeware. One day a guy comes in complaining that we had delivered a washing machine to his door and he opted to set it up himself. Washing machines have a bar on them to stop them rattling around and shaking themselves apart during transit. He hadn't read the instructions or seen the massive warning written on it saying to remove before switching on. The guy spent a good 10 minutes going round in circles trying to tell us it was our fault, but as he had opted to set up the appliance himself, it was only our job to get it to the door. In the end he shouted, if I don't get a replacement, I'm going to bring the washing machine down here and shove it up your ass. Well, this amused me, and my reply was, I have no idea how you would manage that. We delivered it to you, so I assume you couldn't get it here to even figure out where my ass is. He then leaves angry that he didn't get his own way. 2 to 3 hours pass, and we have almost forgotten about the washing machine. When a van backs up to our open doors, the man gets out with a passenger. They open the back doors, grab the washing machine and attempt to throw it. It hits the floor and bounces once, landing just inside the doorway. They then get back in the van and speed off. TLDR, we delivered a washing machine to a guy who breaks it. He tries to blame us and ends up attempting to throw it at us. I work in customer service in a UK store. We get so many meltdowns, it's really hard to choose. I've had so many things thrown at me I've lost count. My best one might be the gentleman who demanded to speak to Ingvar Kamprad about his waiting time at the collection point. When I stupidly offered the department manager, he said he'd settle for someone Swedish. Unfortunately we couldn't help him. He took his things and left screaming that he'd write to Sweden. I've not heard anything back yet. I was working as the greeter one day as family of 3 walked in. As they're walking through the door, the family, what I assumed was mother, father and daughter, was mid-conversation. I hear the daughter say, what are they going to do? Kick me out? So now I'm instantly curious. I give her a quick check and realize she has a chihuahua in her purse. I stroll up to them and say, welcome to IKEA, but I'm sorry the dog cannot come inside. Then we go through the whole why not? Because why not? Because we serve food scenario. The daughter then starts losing her shit. It's 90 degrees outside and I don't have water. So I tell her she can wait outside while someone goes into the marketplace and buys a dog bowl and water and brings it out to her. She literally starts screaming. Not yelling. I think yelling requires words. This is just a scream. This lady is in her 20s easily. It is at this point the father loses his shit and just starts yelling at her. I told you to leave the fucking dog home. I don't know why you have to bring it everywhere you fucking go. It will be fine alone at the house for a couple of hours. Now I have to deal with this shit. So the daughter went outside and the father went to the marketplace while I sat uncomfortably with the mother in the entrance for a good half hour until her husband came back. Not an IKEA employee, but I will share my personal story. My wife and I married extremely fast and young. I was in the military stationed in California, and she had just driven across the country with her mom. The day after she moved in, we did the first IKEA trip. We were still getting a feel for each other. Some disagreements about some of the furniture, but nothing huge. But then we got to the beds. I sat on a really low bed and looked at her and my mother-in-law, who was there with us, and said something like, low beds are pretty neat. My wife had a little mental breakdown, lays down in one of the pre-configured rooms and starts crying. I sit next to her and try to figure out what's going on. She was just really overwhelmed with the whole situation. Just married to a guy she only met a few months before. broke after moving across the country to a state she had only visited and having to furnish an empty apartment. It was just a lot going on and the bed remark was the catalyst. So we talk it out. I tell her that the bed was just a remark and I didn't care which bed we got as long as she was happy with it. So we kiss and make up, we pick a bed, and we are happy. On the way out to next fake bedroom, we see a couple going full berserk mode at each other and we just walked by like, hey, at least that's not us. #HIGHFIVE. The best part was when she was laying down in that IKEA room, people were reaching over and trying to see the prices of the nightstand. My wife was crying next to people at IKEA can get ruthless about the använda. You have had an appointment with the IKEA man. Like and subscribe to, not just get a cow and a tree. When you buy a couch from IKEA,